inside here, you know, you get an insight and you know something, you know, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know. But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Break. definitely need to start trying to punch up a little bit, go to the top, because the last thing you want to do is start to kind of dip below to those bottom 3 teams.
Yeah, this is actually a really crucial match actually in the middle of the table, because these two teams will look at this match and feel that it's a proper 6-pointer, as we would say here. It's a real match where they can take the match away from the opposition and get one for themselves. It'll move them kind of clear of this team below them, but also obviously the team that's losing, as said, is looking towards the bottom. The team that wins will be looking upwards to move up. It's very important in the middle of the pack, this game.
Yeah, exactly. It's extremely important. And like I said, both teams having that middle of the pack stage, both going 2-2. The one thing I really want to talk about is both of these rosters coming up, because both of these rosters are very different in size.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
You know you're good at one single comp, why switch it up if you can make it work?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We've seen the success, obviously, London Spitfire in the Overwatch League, basically 2 seasons in a row of just playing Rush. And when you're so good at one comp, and teams often aren't playing against that comp, it can be really hard to actually for other teams to beat you.
Yeah, like especially when a lot of teams choose not to really scrim with London Spitfire a whole lot, because they're the only team that runs that kind of comp. So we wonder how that goes in the situation when you go from an Overwatch League team down to these teams that are playing in this Diamond Division, where you can really play whatever you want to play so long as you're comfortable on it, and so long as, it's just not terrible. A lot of things work, not everything is going to work. But I think these teams are used to playing against Sprawl, so the question really is going to come down to who is going to come away with that tank battle, because there is nothing better in Overwatch than a Ryan 1v1.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan 1v1 is peak Overwatch. But team that maybe runs away because they are very good at playing the meta comp. Not just who maybe has the better grasp of a better comp, which we often see.
Yeah, exactly. As we kind of looking at this, and things look slightly different than what we could have thought. We are seeing the Orisa still over on the side of blink-180. Meanwhile, Mythos aren't even really going to bother a whole lot with a traditional Brawl style. You see Ace going to be starting out on the D.Va, running the Kiriko and Lucio alongside it. So right now, blink-180 is going to force this high ground right away, and they're going to be able to do so pretty efficiently, given that they're able to get there first. The Orisa is going to be able to stop them from pushing over onto this high ground. So right now, Mythos just kind of has to poke away for the time being, as blink-180 is just going to hold on position. As you can see, Mythos making their way to point. They are going to have to force some members of blink-180 to start dropping onto this point. It is a very nice nade. They force out the Kitsune. They force out the cleanse early. You're going to see Sweet Potato be the first one to drop, and first control is going to go over to Mythos Griffin. And right now, Fishknot, the rest of blink-180 kind of has to try to get out of here if they can. And oh no.
Oh, they get booped off. I mean, they could have kind of stayed together as a 5, stayed as a compact group, and not really been able to have been pushed. But getting booped off is not great. They're going to just be cleaned up here. I think they should keep their Orisa alive, though. They get 50% to this Orisa ult. Obviously, that's their a big win condition. But the fact they're only 27% to this Blade is not great. And they're going to probably look for a Nano Blade to win a fight. And they're going to be coming up against the Beat. Absolutely. The Beat is so far ahead of them.
Yeah, if you want to talk about ults, Leo already has that pulse bomb ready to go. They're looking for that opportunity, going to send it in. It's going to land nice and safely there on the ground, not going to find anybody. Leo, though, is still trying to find the follow-up. You see Sun trying to push out on the sideline. We have some people taking the top as well, just trying to take different angles right now. Sun's in a really bad situation. One, they're going to have to use a spin just to try to get away, but Ace is going to be able to find the final blows. Sweet Potato dropping afterwards, and it's just going to be another wipe in the favor of Mythos Griffins, who are doing really good thus far with this D.Va comp.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the Anno's positioning was. I'm not really sure where she was for blink-180 ult. Maybe they didn't get her like ready to heal the Orisa up, but the Orisa was very isolated in that fight. I think you're going to see it be really tough here for blink-180 ult to get back in. They haven't got the Blade up. This is probably the last fight. They need to play long, really trying to charge their Dragon Blade up. But I think they're going to struggle to even survive this Kitsune rush, which is going to come, you'd imagine, early.
You'd imagine, yeah, and there's a good chance that Vitzi is going to be the receiver of that ult right there. The beat is going to come out, though, but Volt is going to drop in that fight. They're going to send the beat back as well. We saw the 5v4. They're even going to send in the charge right there. It's not going to find anybody. It is eventually going to take Ace out of the mech, though, and this fight is going to slowly start falling in favor. Leo is going to find that pulse onto Lucky Prince, but it's not going to be enough to turn around that fight, as eventually blink-180 is going to take control of the point, and they are going to have that Nano Blade coming up on this next fight as well.
Yeah, blink-180, they actually probably not even really do very much in that fight. It was more that Mythos used the beat really badly, actually, in the end. They didn't save it for the Dragon Blade, which they probably should have. They maybe tried to get aggressive with it, but they're staring down the face of a Dragon Blade now. If they lose to this Nano Blade, I mean, they've still got another couple of fights. They use the Kitsune early to try and take an engagement.
They really want to try to win this fight here and now, as you're to see Sweet Potato gonna send out the ult over on the Torbjorn right now. So trying to push Ace out of there for the time being. The Ace is gonna find Vitzi. In the meantime, Jericho is just gonna TP out of there right now. Fenrir has found one. They're looking for the second right now, trying to knock Ace out of that mech. They're going to have to use the bomb just to do the remech. They're going to be able to escape it as well, but it is still tied up right now. There are no ults on either side, but you see Volt and Leo are getting very close to their own ultimates, as the flip is going to come back over on the side of Mythos. Leo trying to find the follow-up, trying to get rid of Lucky Prince, but they're doing a good job surviving at the moment. Just looking to come together on a target. Eventually, Fenrir is going to manage to find one, but it's turning right back around. It's Pato that is managing to find Fenrir. I don't know how they managed to do so, but they have pulled it off. The pulse is going to find Sweet Potato as well. This is followed into the favor of Mythos, and they're going to be able to take this first map just as soon as they manage to finish off virtually.
Yeah, the Nano Blade came in, but it would only find one, although it did chunk down the D.Va quite a bit, but it just wasn't enough in the end to win the fight. I think blink-180 ult, I think they probably can maybe chalk that round off. They played maybe the entire round trying to play with that Nano Blade, and it doesn't really work. But I'm not sure if sticking on this Genji is really going to be the right tactic. But also, I think an interesting thing to consider is the battle between the Torbjorn and the Tracer we saw in that round. Because I think actually, surprisingly, we saw Mythos' Tracer get absolutely much the better of Sweet Potato on the Torb, which is not really what you see. I mean, it's very rare that a Tracer beats a Torb in a 1v1 because the turret is so good against the Tracer. And I think we're going to see some more. We're going to see the Jungle Queen style comp now from blink-180 ult, which I much prefer to their Orisa Genji kind of stuff. And Mythos are going to stay on the exact same comp as last round.
And Vitzi is still going to have a high amount of sustainability, just like you would on the Orisa. They are going to have that shout. They'll get a lot of bleed and keep a lot of up health. But Lucky Prince doesn't even make the transition. Immediately, all that main heals is going to be taken away. Mythos is going to have a really good opportunity to just start collapsing in on the rest. You see the shout come out from Vitzi. It's not going to keep them alive, though. And just with one little blink going in from Leopard, they managed to end that fight there and now. So right now, Mythos is going to take first control of the point in what ended up being a very quick fight, if you want to call it a fight.
Yeah, Leopard goes in, he takes the Moira out early, and that's just kind of the fight over, really, for blink-180 ult. They can't push in after they lose their Moira, and I mean, they've got to deal with Leopard. I mean, they had the Torbjorn last round, it didn't work. You see the ult charge percentages of blink-180 ult, they are nowhere near anything, and they're going to struggle to re-engage if they can't do anything against the enemy Tracer, although they do take down the Lucio early.
Exactly, but they still do have the main heals over from Pato, but I don't think it's going to matter for a whole lot longer. Leo trying to find somebody on the sidelines. Sweet Potato is low. They're going to send in the Pulse even trying to win this, and it's just not going to work out. Ace eventually going to drop. You just see Volt going over to that Genji, but this is going to end as soon as Leo goes down. They go down. They're going to only chalk about 46%, somewhat reasonable amount, but Blink-182 finding a little foothold here, and now we question how hard are they going to be able to hold this defense coming up.
Yeah, there's real chaos going on in this game, to be honest. I'm not really sure what's going on in a lot of these fights, but you can see that if you manage to find the early pick, obviously in any fight in Overwatch, you're at a massive advantage, and I think that'll be what's important in nearly every fight. But I think Blink-180 ult here, acting as if they run in as a 5, they will have a decent chance of winning this fight.
Yeah, but it's going to be very hard to run into Vitzi right now. That Jungle Queen is extremely hard to take down. You see Leo in the background trying to do some work, but it's Fenrir actually that's going to be the first one to drop. Volt managing to find that nice kill, forcing Virtually out of the fight as well. So now they just have 3 up on the high ground. They're trying to force away Vitzi. They are eventually going to be taken down. This fight is falling into the favor of Mythos. Lucky Prince just trying to survive to the best of their ability. They're going to force the stall, and that is going to be it for them. Going to have a very similar percentage going into this fight, and both teams going to have a lot of ults coming into this next fight as well.
Yeah, interesting to see. Obviously, they're playing with the Moira, and I think this is the first Coalescence they're coming up to, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm surprised at the way they're playing this Moira. Maybe not just pumping all your heals into the Jungle Queen to charge your Coalescence, which is traditionally, I think, what we'd see. And Leo, they managed to use the fade. But obviously, they're coming up with the Coalescence. If they use this Coalescence well, they should secure this fight. Although the beat early is probably not the best engage.
But that's fine, though, because E-Girl goes off at the beat, but they just barely miss Volt. It is a 5v4 right now, sending out the Pulse, looking to find the follow-up. They aren't going to find anybody, though, and this fight is falling back into the favor of Blink-180. Just a couple members remaining. Ace going to stall out, likely not using the bomb here, as they're going to hold on to that bomb for the next fight. I question why they're doing a slight stall. They don't have a point quite yet, but Mythos will get 91%, or just one fight away from getting it. But Blink-180, they have 4 ults coming onto this next fight.
Yeah, they've got the ults to hold this. They have everything but the B, and I think they're not... The Kitsune could be an issue, but I think they need to know that the Kitsune is up. They need to take the fight before they can do damage with the Kitsune. They have the Reaper ult. I think that's what they'll be looking to use this fight. They also have Coalescence. Ooh. You know, using the Coalescence, getting the next one charging is, you know, pretty useful in this, like, Moira comp.
Yep, and right now, you're watching Vitzi. They want to use it on somebody, but it doesn't matter. Fenrir has managed to find 3 with the Death Blossom. It's going to be sent back by Volt, but it's going to find nobody in return. Ace eventually going to be taken out. They're going to drop Coalescence on top of that just to really double down, but Volt is going to be able to get out, so there is going to be a recontestment for this next fight, as Mythos used 3 different ults during that fight.
Yeah, I mean... Sanji on the Jungle Queen finds nothing, but it's a huge Death Blossom from Fenrir. I mean, this Diva Bomb has to be massive, but you don't really see our massive Diva Bombs very often. The Moira's going to be taken down, though.
Yeah, but we are going to see the sights come on from Sweet Potato, but they are going to be held up by Ace for the moment, so Sweet Potato going to have a very difficult time trying to take anybody out. They're eventually going to fall. Fenrir directly following in this fight is going back into the favor of Mythos. And the question is right now, is anybody going to be able to touch this point?
Lucio should be able to touch. It takes about 6% to touch on this map, so he should be able to get back. Or the Moira tries. I don't think they get there.
It's so unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. They play that round quite well, actually, Blink 180. They are unlucky not to lose. They're unlucky to lose 2-0 actually on that point. But I think there's maybe some things you can say that this game is pretty much descending into pure chaos at many times. There's very little rushing going on, despite the fact there is basically a rush comp and a kind of maybe Diva style dive rush comp. It's a little bit not really sure what's happening, but I think one way that you've seen the success actually is you using your ults proactively. For example, you know, using that Death Blossom won them the fight. You know, you kind of pressing W or forward on your controller before the enemy at this level is often the way to win. If you're just on them before they realize, you're using your ults proactively rather than saving them for a massive 5k. Stuff like using the coalescence to engage rather than using the beat to engage, saving the beat for bigger ults. And I think you can see that it's definitely winnable for blink-180 ult because they hold the point, and I think maybe a couple of mistakes, they wasted their Junker Queen ult. And I think if they fix those, they're definitely still in this, and there's kind of, you can see that, Mythos aren't necessarily perfect, and they definitely seem at a similar level for most of this game. It just needs to, it's just kind of maybe they got unlucky when they won the fights and when they used some of their ults. And obviously the first round they played Genji and it didn't really work out, and Orisa. So yeah, it's definitely close, but Mythos do take the first map.
Yeah, and it's kind of what you alluded to, and it is just being able to use those ults, not only efficiently, but being the first one to use those. You saw for the longest time, Vitsy, they did have that Rampage ready to go. They held on to it. They were trying to wait for Pato to be able to use their cleanse. That way, they could use it most efficiently. But the problem is, once again, Mythos knew they were doing. They threw down the Kitsune, they threw in the Death, they threw in the, or other way around, sorry. Fenrir put down the Death Blossom, and they just found a perfect slot for it. They were proactive. They made that happen as soon as Mythos went to rush in. And that's just the kind of thing you need to see every single fight. It's nice to see a nice 3K in there. It's awesome, but you've got to make these things happen like at least every other fight. That way you're at least keeping even. Because if you just have Mythos keep going in, keep ulting first, keep fighting first, keep getting the first pick, it's going to be really hard to turn this series around.
Yeah, it is. But we're going to see some subs actually for this second map, which is going to be it's going to be Lucky's going to move to tank and Vitsy's going to come out, and we're going to have D.Va in on support. So it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, they're trying to change the tide of this match with the sub, obviously losing the first map on blink-180 ult. I wonder whether this is a map-specific thing. Obviously, they're moving out their they're moving out. Oh no, it's a Mythos sub, isn't it? Or no, it is a blink-180 ult sub. Yeah, right. So they're moving out their DPS player, and they're changing around the roles. I think maybe more they might have a specialist Baptiste player or a specialist Anna player, or maybe even a specialist Brig Mercy. I think it'll be a specialist swap that we see on this next map. Obviously, I'm not too sure what it'll be, but it's Parizio, so maybe we'll see, the specialist Anna come out the FAP. But, do you really need to bring in your specialist to play a comp, or should you just maybe stick with your 5 and improve your team coordination? I don't think they played terribly in that first map. I'm not sure that you need to hit the panic, smash the panic button, change all the players out. But I said maybe it's a pre-cooked plan for this map.
It kind of has to be, because we talked about very much that support swap, but we didn't bring up a whole lot about Lucky going on to the tank. And the question really comes up, what are you going to pull out for this tank? This is a poke style map, so there's things like D.Va, like Sigma. Winston's also decent on this map. There is also the chance that we see something equivalent to like a Doomfist.
There is no way they play a risk. They've brought in a player to play a risk. There is no way. Surely not.
There's no way.
There's no way they sub in someone to play Orisa. I thought. Maybe Lucky is better at Orisa, and they want to play this Orisa comp. But I think if they wanted to play the Orisa comp on the first map, they should have just surely ran with this. They're going to play this kind of shooter style comp with the Orisa, which is something maybe a patch old. But anything can work really if they do if they execute it well. And especially Mythos maybe don't have that well of heroes to defend themselves. So if D.Va can take over on the if D.Va can take over on the Illari and find a couple of picks, that would definitely be useful. Leopard's obviously going to switch over to his signature Tracer. Oh my god! I thought he could make that jump.
Volt just about made it there for a moment. Unfortunate, as right now, you already see up there, they're going to have to use already. They're going to use the Immortality early in this fight. Sweet Potato needed the help to do so. And as you can see right now, Mythos is just trying to do a bit of a rotation onto this point, trying to force them to come back a little bit. The big thing right now, though, is that Blink-180 is still holding on to these high grounds. But I don't think it matters a whole lot if you try to bring the fight to them. And Volt just absolutely burns through Lucky Prince. Already a 5v3 situation. Sweet Potato has to try to get out of there. Maybe try to knock Ace out of mech. But that's not even really going to happen is this is going to be a very fast first point cap for this team, and you already are starting to call into question these swap ups.
Yeah, I just don't see the Orisa. Like, I just don't see how this Orisa is really, not the Orisa's viable, but they just don't seem to be clicking with this Orisa strat. They were so much better on Junker Queen. And I guess now maybe, what is going
Volt.
on?
Oh, Volt.
Volt.
I'm getting queasy.
Yeah. I think maybe, you know, they bring in Lucky and he can only play Orisa. And I think they've maybe locked themselves now into playing this Orisa comp, when actually I think they looked much better on the Junker Queen comp, being able to engage with that more simple rush. Oh, I think Leopard.
No.
Oh, no. Ilari was ready.
Ready to go, and you do see they are going to get rid of the pylon as well, so no additional healing going to come about. Hop virtually is going to drop as well, so it's just up to Deva to be able to do the healing. It is going to even out with Volt eventually dropping as well, but Leo's coming up very close on that pulse bomb. You know they're looking for that target. Sweet Potato in the back is not going to get the healing they need. Deva, they're going to go for the 180 pulse. They try for it, just barely miss right now. It's just the rest of blink-180 that just has to try to play this corner coming up here, because Mythos are already going to be capping the second point very shortly. blink-180 are just falling apart at the seams right now, just have to start backing out. And Mythos, with nearly 6 minutes in the time bank, they are breezing through Paraiso so far.
Yeah, they look to be hurtling towards what I expect is close to a CGL record here. Just seems like there's no resistance from Blink-180 up. They just don't seem to be able to lock in any point. I think they're only 85% to their window after this. It's more of a reflection on the fact they die so quickly. It's not even the fact that the Baptiste is playing badly.
Volt's trying to cook a little bit right now. Missiles aren't going to find anybody, no kills right there, but Deva is going to be the first one to drop. You already see the bomb come up. Lucky Prince going to pull the corner just in time. They're going to stop the remake, though. That is going to be big. Despite the fact that this fight is falling in the favor of Mythos, we are in a situation where Lucky Prince does have the ability to use this all. They are going to opt to hold on to it, though, as this is coming into one-fight territory. But Ace still has to come back. They are not quite back yet.
Yeah, he waits too long to use his Fortify. I think, you know, one thing we...
Oh, no.
Oh, no. The Bastion in the spawn cancels the Ilario. I think they're not going to get a fight. It's just going to be contesters.
Look, he's just going to use it. Oh, no.
No, it's so Jova.
Oh, no. Fishknot, we need to open the record books. We need to open the record books. We need to call the Esports Administration. We got to figure this out. Look at that. A whopping 4 minutes and 33 seconds.
That's huge. That is such a big time bank.
It's more time than they started with.
I was gonna say that I was gonna add that you know, the Orisa should have popped her Fortify before she run out of armor, because that tends to be the way you should play it. I think that quite famously there was I don't remember who it was, but when there was Hangzhou Spark players playing on ping back in the day, they used to say that they couldn't pop their Fortify before they ran out of armor, and I think that's very much the case now. I think you need to pop your Fortify before armor, but I don't think that matters really in this game, whether he pops his Fortify before the armor expires.
Exactly. You see, Blink-182 is going to be a team that's really swapping things. In fact, both teams are kind of really swapping this up. Eagle's going to be going over to that Baptiste. Leo can be over on the Mei, so I'm kind of questioning what this is like, because you have a lot of poke elements, but when you have this Baptiste and this Mei, you're kind of playing a more brawl-like style with those, so I'm starting to question what Volt is doing now, giving us a little bit of a headache.
He loves a spin. He really does love a spin. I'd like to see him crank the sense to maximum and spin as fast as he can.
No, I'm good. I like my dinner in my stomach, thank you very much. But
back onto the Genji thing in 180. I mean, but they have a better comp now, I'd say, for this Genji than they did before. I'm surprised he didn't just dash through the enemy there. He could have gotten a lot of ult charge, and he could have just deflected as soon as it looks like the back was going to go down.
Yeah, the Immortality field coming out just a little bit late, unfortunately, as the rest of Mythos just kind of has to back out a little bit, try to play a more poke style. Because, it is a very good hack. They are eventually going to drop Eagle Bear, and this fight is just already starting to fall apart. You already see Sweet Potato going to drop all the way back right now, but with Pato dropping, this is really just going to go in their favor. Blink-182 just have to get rid of Ace, and eventually they are going to do so. So just same for them, same as Mythos. They're going to win this in that first fight and get a really good time bank to start things up. The question right now is, with a couple changes coming through, can they keep that momentum going into the second part of the map?
I mean, they already look much better without the Orisa, and they took a much better engage. Obviously, the Genji managed to get in, and they find that's a great kill. So they just look different world, absolute different gravy without Orisa like in the lineup, but they just shouldn't be playing Orisa. They look good with the Sombra as well. Obviously, they're only 44% to Blade, but obviously that Blade will be a big fight win percentage. I'm surprised they're actually on Moira here, but I guess Diva, maybe Moira is the comfort pick for them. I mean, they have a good chance to win this fight. There's no real ults. It's just a neutral fight. And I think that, maybe he gets found, but I think he should be all right.
They'll live. They'll get some more charge. They're up to that 70% now as well. In fact, a lot of people coming up to around that 70%. Is Lucky is going to be walled off. Oh, and they're going to go out of mech too. And now they're just going to be able to start collapsing on the rest of blink-180 if they have the opportunity. Because right now, they've just been getting pushed around this corner right now. They have managed to push the thing to 88 meters. And right now, it's just mid-fight that's going to mean a lot. They really only need to win this fight to be able to kind of just push this in. But we do see the trades coming through. Mythos finds 2 of their own. Fenrir is going to drop those. So really, it's up to Sweet Potato if they want to try to assassinate someone again. Pedo is going to get hacked out again. They're going to force out the cleanse, but Sweet Potato's going to drop. So now you have to fully disengage and play for the next fight.
I don't really see why Sweet Potato doesn't just shoot the Sigma. It's the biggest target, and really all you're trying to do there is charge your EMP. You get a pick, I mean, it doesn't really matter. They get back in time. There's ults coming up now, but that EMP has got to be huge for blink-180. If they get a good EMP, they should probably cap this point, and they'll have a lot of time to attack this last point with.
Yeah, exactly. But you do see a lot of Mythos is kind of grouping together a little bit. It does open the opportunity to have a really good EMP. Sweet Potato gets super low, though, so they're going to have to pull back for a moment, wait to go in for this next fight. But we do have a lot of ults coming online. Blink-180 is the team that's going to have 8 ultimates. Mythos coming up on 5 as well. This could be a gigantic fight. We can see a lot of ults come out here as the EMP is going to be the first to come out. They're trying to find the follow-up. Peto is going to manage to stay alive. The Beacon of follow-up. Deva eventually going to throw out the Coalescence as well. And right now it's Lucky Prince who's going to find Leo in the first fight. They're looking for that Blade right now. You see the Death Blossom, or not the Death Blossom. Right now, Deadeye in the back, but it gets hacked out! Lucky Prince finding the follow-up off of the hack, Bolt taken out. This fight starting to far back into the favor of Blink-180. Just have to get rid of Ace on the point. He's trying to stall it for as long as they possibly can, but they are eventually going to drop. And they're going to be going with a respectable 4.5-minute time bake. Not quite as high as Mythos, but it is still very respectable and a lot of time to work with.
Yeah, it's really good in the end, actually, because they don't end up having to use this Dragon Blade, which I thought they would have to use. The TP is very far back. But,
yes.
Oh, that's a nice Icicle Deflect kill, I'm guessing. That's very nice. They've got the Blade to come up here, and I mean, the Blade can be huge. I mean, there isn't really maybe anyone to lock down apart from Iari. But if they do get onto Iari, then, you know, securing 1 kill with Blade is completely fine.
Exactly. Oh, no. Sweet Potato's very hit and miss so far on this Sombra. They found some really good picks early on, but these last couple engagements, they've been found out very early and just kind of been like just torn down before they can really find any value. So now they're going to have to wait until they get back to be able to really fully engage in this fight coming up. As you can see, Leo does have that freeze ready to go. They're going to use it against the wall. Eventually is going to force one. Lucky is frozen at the moment. They have to try to drain them out of their mech. They're not going to be able to succeed in doing so, so Blink-180 should be able to do a very quick regroup and regauge here. Oh,
yeah,
no.
they still have this Dragon Blade to play with. I mean, this should be really like a fight-winning ultimate. The Leopard. I mean, that's not too bad. It is the Baby Diva, so you probably wanted to die there anyway. I mean, the Dragon Blade is got to be really come up before this Iari, or otherwise Iari's just going to jump away. I mean, Moira is close to Coalescence. That should also be pretty big for them. And I think this damage orb should probably pretty much charge it up. This Dragon Blade, I mean, it's got to be what's going to happen before the Iari gets ult. And this Dragon Blade is going to struggle to get any value now. That's a good bomb, though.
It manages to find Ace as well, and the Blade is going to be on the follow-up as well. You can see Fenrir trying to find somebody. Volt should be dead as soon as they come out of that, and they are going to fall directly after the fact. It just really comes down to the cleanup here. They have 2 people still trying to survive over on the sidelines. E-Girl trying their best to survive. They're going to have the ult for this next fight. Pato is going to get out, but right now, it's really going to come down to the support ultimates coming from both teams.
Yeah, it's I mean, there is ultimates available for both teams, and I think this Captive Sun into the Flux will be huge.
Yeah, we see that B come out. Pato was going to be the first one to drop. That Consumer Rush does manage to drop shortly after. They have to manage to find a follow-up off for the Sun. Eventually, Leo is going to find Sweet Potato,
so
but
low.
it is still in the favor. And as you say, so many low members. It's falling back into the favor of blink-180, who's going to be having about 2 minutes in that time bank. Still very respectable. They managed to finish off the map and win a very back-and-forth fight there at the end.
I mean, it could be worse, Hunter, for sure. 2 minutes isn't too bad. I mean, they are facing down 4 minutes 32, but you know, it's still winnable. Overtime is always winnable in Overwatch. The second or the third round is always winnable. You know, you can always dig your heels in here after you get a decent push. I mean, they probably, you would say, they need to get at least to this some way through this payload section because they're facing up against 4 minutes. But it's not unwinnable for blink-180, and in fact, Genji seems to be working much better now that they have a diva. And I think actually one thing that Fenrir maybe needs to do more, and he's maybe a little scared to do, is kind of go for these dashes through the entire enemy team. Kind of play Genji more in this style of, you're effectively playing a brawl comp like on the high ground. As much as it may seem to be a dive, you're not actually really diving the way they're playing. So you might as well dash through the entire enemy team and then use your deflect to escape and charge up 20%, you know, chunk up that ultimate. Because at the moment, he's charging it very slowly. We basically saw one Dragon Blade that entire half.
Right. I think specifically Fenrir might be looking out for the rocks coming in from Ace, because Ace has been holding onto them a decent amount for Fenrir on their engages. So I think Fenrir is trying to wait for that cooldown to come out before they do any proper engagements, especially with a big group like that. Is right now, Sweet Potato going to go through looking for the hack. Leo's going to be the first target. Sweet Potato going to get some bit of charge, maybe forced out directly afterwards. Lucky Prince just trying to poke around at the moment. Try to force some of these members off of the high ground right now, as that's what they're just trying to do. They're trying to force them to go further back, take over this initial high ground. That way they can start to slowly push up as necessary.
Yeah, they do well to actually push them off this first high ground. And I think that they are actually controlling high ground much better, or they lose their flex support, which is not good. But Ace is killable, but he should survive.
Yeah.
Sweet Potato going down as well. I'd say they could stay as a 4 and be fairly hard to kill. But this fight is very much over. But they've got one more fight. They're 15% to the blade, though. That's the big ultimate that they needed. They don't really have anything. However, if they take this high ground again, I mean, it's still doable because they played well after they took this high ground.
Yeah, but they said, like, they're going to have absolutely nothing. Mythos could still potentially work up towards their own blade. They're not too far away from Sigma getting their own ult as well, as they're trying to find the follow-up from Sunny. Lucky Prince going to get extremely low. In fact, a lot of members get very low, but it's Mythos that is going to be dropping people first. E-Girl and Pato, both supports going to be dropping, but it's the DPS that are starting to bring it back for Mythos. It's still 3v3. Volt is going to find the double dash. It's turned back around. As you're going to see, Deva is going to have to use the Fate just to get out of that fight. And now it's 20 minutes of counting, and Lucky Prince is not going to retain the mech, and they don't have the ult to get it back either. So a quick little stagger going to lead them out of that mech, as they're just going to have to try to re-engage in this fight. But who's going to force the touch here?
Yeah, I mean, Volt does so much, and he's going to have his Dragon Blade here, and there's going to be pretty much no response.
No.
He's going to... Although he's getting chunked low, I mean...
He's won!
He's so low, he gets boots.
And it's tied up now. Remember, this is still winnable. Ace, though, that is the big ult that's still online. Ace does have that ready to go right now. They're looking for the correct moment, just trying to force Lucky out of the ult. They're going to be forced out of the mech, eventually pulled up. They are going to manage to pull one up, virtually trying their best to stay alive. It's just not going to happen, though, and they are going to be able to hold here fully. No one else is going to be able to have that recontestment on the touch, so they are going to stop any amount of progress. So now Mythos, with 4.5 minutes coming into this next engagement, just have to win one fight to put us on match point.
Yeah, I think it would be a mountain to climb for blink-180 to take this map, but I think it's fairly in the bag for Mythos here. I think just maybe they might play to charge his ultimates up. I think especially in this tier, I think they will just play to maybe charge 5 ultimates and go in. But blink-180 I think are playing far too passive pre-fight. I think they are scared of dying early because Leopard played so well in that first map and found so many picks. They're playing so passive, and it means that they just don't poke up their ultimates as much as they should. And you see there, they don't charge the blade the entire of their 2 minutes 40 second, or their 2 minutes they have. And I mean, I don't. They're gonna play Lifeweaver now.
they're
play
just
Lifeweaver Moira.
It's
I mean,
it's
if
not
you
the
have, I
worst
guess
idea
if
in
you
the
have
world.
this many heals, then I guess you're never gonna die.
Well, it's kind of nice though, because the big thing right now with having the Reaper and the Moira, and even a Kiriko as well, the biggest thing is you want to force out their movement abilities before you fully dive them. So now there will kind of be a fallback for Virtual to be able to pull them away when that collapse comes through.
Yeah, it's gonna see if he can find a shot here. He doesn't. He does just get his shot DM'd. Yeah, they're gonna have to basically make the fight as long as possible to take advantage of this extra sustain. But the Lucio's gonna mean that Ace can move around so much quicker than Lucky on this D.Va, even though the D.Va's got the booster. And I mean, someone is on the point. They're gonna have to be pushed back.
Yeah, as right now you see.
They need to stay. They need to stay in good positions here. They can't let this fall apart.
Exactly, Volt kind of just poking away. You are going to see Sweet Potato get down to half right now. Volt is going to eventually be sniped out by Sweet Potato. As you see right now, you can see the pedal keeping Sweet Potato up in the air, going to the turret form in a really tough position to contest right now, as it's really hard to collapse on this type of dive. We are eventually going to see Fenrir. They do have to use their own movement ability to be able to get out of that fight. So they're just waiting for things to kind of just even up a little bit. And I think blink-180 coming up very quickly on that tree as well. They're 80% in counting, so they are going to likely have this, but it might be too much right now as Leopard is going to go kill, but Sweet Potato is going to... It's such good peel for the support, as right now Mythos is just going to have to slowly start to pull back here, as long as Lucky Prince doesn't get themselves taken out of mech, and they've been body blocked, and they're going to barely escape thanks to the pull.
Yeah, I mean, actually, blink-180 are digging in quite well here. The Lifeweaver allows them to have so much healing, which keeps their players sustained for a long time. As long as they don't peek this window, though, I think they should be okay. That's a really good artillery strike, actually. It pushes them off of that window, and these isolated Volt is. They're actually playing this really well, blink-180. They are forcing them into bad positions, which is something they haven't been really doing a lot of this game. They haven't been playing proactively, but I think they're playing a lot better now to force the enemy's position.
Yeah, and the big thing coming into this fight, Leopard does have that pulse ready to go. There's a lot of ults overall, but Leopard can really just settle this in right here and now by finding the pulse. They're going to try to find the one clip on Virtual, get really close to doing so, but are eventually going to get forced out. They're still looking for that pulse, though. With Sweet Potato, that's actually going to be the first one to drop. That's a large chunk of your damage that's going to be gone. Volt is going to throw in the Dragon, really try to extra measure this. D.Va is going to have to try to send in their own ultimate, but they're going to get pulsed. D.Va taken out of the Coalescence, and that is going to start being the beginning of the end. Members trying to stay alive. Lucky Prince does manage to find Volt, but they're really the only one that's able to fully sustain on the point. The bomb going to come up in the air. Nobody going to be caught by it, but Lucky is going to be able to remech back into the all. Ace, though, is the one that still has their bomb ready to go.
With this paddle, but they get the Bastion back.
They do get the Bastion back right now, as that is a lot of damage coming through. Ace likely going to have to go back out of their mech. They're going to have to do the remech in the process. Nobody is going to be caught out by it, but Virtually does die before that remech manages to happen. Sweet Potato finding a pick of their own, and this has to be the biggest mortar strike of your life. It is going to find Volt. It's turning back around. You just have to burn Ace out of mech. Eventually, it's going to happen. The window's going to come out. They're going to invest it into this fight, and it's going to find no value. Sweet Potato just has to hit this final shot, as they're going to be able to win this fight. The pulse being used. Blink-182 pulled off the near impossible and won that fight, and you forced out all of Mythos' ults in the process.
Oh, at the 11th hour, the Bastion returns, and he takes down Mythos. I mean, they're in trouble now, Mythos. They've got nothing to work with. They've got one more fight. They're staring down the barrel of a 4-minute plus loss. They need to find a pick, but Leopard has been so reliable this entire series. Can he find another one as they enter back in?
Yeah, exactly. You see Fenrir coming up very close on their Death Blossom right now, going to happen for this upcoming fight. D.Va might be able to get their own out midway as well, but Fenrir has to try to stay alive.
Fenrir escapes.
The E-Girl is also very low as well. They're managing to stay up for the time being. You see them trying to just keep Leo over on the sidelines. D.Va gets very low right now. They need to get those heals. They should be able to get them in time, as Mythos is just going to keep trying to poke away. And now we really are in that last fight territory now. It's going to be really tough for them to be able to come back if they manage to drop somebody. It's Ace who's getting extremely low. And we are going to see the Visor come up from up top. They have to get rid of Volt right now, who's just going to get moved over to the other high ground. Volt going to find Virtual. It comes down to the Death Blossom now. It's got to be big. It's going to manage to find E-Girl. It finds the one. but they have to find more than that. Sweet Potato is going to manage to do some damage right now, but it's really just becoming the beginning of the end. It's such an amazing hold for them, but it's just Lucky Prince left on the point. The impossible nearly happened. It was so close to happening, but unfortunately, they fall just short, and Mythos is going to win Paraiso and take us to match point.
That was almost incredible, Hunter. We almost saw a 4-minute plus hold. And I mean, Sweet Potato's bastion on that last point was just unpushable into. It was amazing. And I mean, maybe they should have used the Death Blossom earlier, been more proactive, as they maybe were on that last point more than they had been on that entire match so far. But it was just not quite enough to hold for 4 minutes plus. And maybe one more fight on the first round, and that would have been the map for them. But now they're staring down 2-0. It's a long way back from here.
It's really hard to come back from that, but you have gained some confidence from this because, again, if you did this during the first defense, this is just a full hold, and we're already on map 3 right now. We're tied up. That's definitely a possibility that could have happened, and I think through a series, you can find out what a team is very comfortable on and what's going to work better against them. And I think throughout the series thus far, blink-180 has started to done that. They have done that so far. You can really tell by that second defense that they had. I think the one thing they need to do is a big reason that Mythos was able to win that last fight was Volt not only just having their ults ready to go, but they managed to go on the high ground and were pretty much uncontested from taking it. So the rest of Blink-180 had to either try to go after it and get taken out or just play in the sidelines and try to hide away. And that's what kind of spilled the beginning at the end. So again, it just comes down to controlling the tempo, controlling the pace of these fights, and not just letting Mythos do basically whatever they want to do.
Yeah, actually, blink-180 had actually played quite well around the high ground. They played inside there, I think it's a coffee shop or whatever, on the left side of the point. But in that last fight, they maybe, they weren't quite ready for the re-engage. They had all these respawns coming in. They didn't play quite as well outside of the line of sight. A lot of players were constantly going low, and that was forcing the Lifeweaver into positions where they didn't want to be, and that eventually caused, obviously, Leopard to be able to access the back line, and then that pressured them into even worse positions than the Bastion of Volt on the high ground managed to just mow them down.
Yeah, but we have definitely seen so far that they can keep it close right now. So we're going to be going into another map here soon, but we do have to take a halftime intermission before we can get into our next map, which will be a Flashpoint map, fun enough. But we are going to wait until after the break, so stick around to see if blink-180 can start to turn this around, or maybe Mythos potentially going for the full sweep. Either way, we'll see you shortly. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Season 12. We are in Week 5 of the second stage. We have blink-182 versus Mythos Griffins in a Diamond tier. And thus far, Mythos has done really well. They're up 2-0 right now. But Fishnot, we started to kind of see blink-182 like work their way back into the series after a near full hold with 4.5 minutes in the time bank. Is a really good performance, and just it's so close yet so far. And now they need to find that momentum going into this next map.
Yeah, it would have been such an incredible hold if they had pulled it off in the end. Unfortunately, they were unable to. But they're definitely very much in this series. They can be back in it, but obviously 2-0 is maybe a big score to come back from. But they were probably, for the entire second half of that map, they were the better team. They pretty much only lost one fight in about 7-8 minutes of Overwatch. So that's it's a big time for them to just keep winning. And I think that they can continue that momentum into this next map. And maybe they've obviously made some more subs, but they've only made one this time. And I think they said they're going to bring in their Reinhardt player, which is going to be some fun on New Jank City, which is our next map. So he's not playing Ryan, I've just been told, which is tragic.
Oh,
Oh
no.
no.
If only.
Um,
We could have gotten
yeah,
lucky.
if only. Right. Let's let's go into the New Junk City then.
Yep, New Junk City, like I said, a very brawl-centric map. And we're going to see in a moment what they're trying to do. Lucky Prince is still over on the tank roll. Hammerpaw just kind of came in to fill that other DPS slot. And we're going to see real quick what they're trying to cook. Oh, yes! Yes, it's happening! Fish Town, it's happening!
Let's go! I'm excited to see some Reinhardt. Hammerpaw isn't playing Ryan, but he is on May, and we are going to see some Reinhardt rush. I'm excited.
I'm
Oh,
very
here we
excited.
go. And it's
finally
Rush
happening.
v Rush. It's Rush v Rush. And once he has Genji Rush, I mean, this is peak Overwatch.
Oh.
I mean, here we go.
I'm
They're
so
starting the
excited.
middle point.
Exactly, but Blink-180, they have to remember, despite having this Reinhardt, they still are going to have to try play a little bit quicker, because Volt, you do not want to give them this kind of value. And especially Leopard, the way they have played this game so far, they've gotten a ton of value on the off angle, and you can do the same thing over on the Reaper. As Volt right now, gonna throw out the deflect, throwing a lot of damage back into them. Volt wants to get mega aggressive, but I think they've gotten a little too aggressive. Virtually gets the final blow onto them, and Mythos quickly falling apart in this fight. They have to be careful how they're using these cooldowns to be able to engage, because they just turned on Volt and just killed him. Easy as that.
Yeah, Volt actually played that well until the fact that he used his deflect way too early. He should have saved his deflect for when he wanted to dash in. Because I think that's how you play the Genji in the rush. You just dash the entire team and then deflect out the other side. But he should have waited to dash in until he had his deflector, because deflecting the Moira Orb got him loads of ult charge. And you see here, he's pretty much going to have his blade before anyone else has his ult if he keeps going at this rate.
Yeah, Devil already up to 60% on their own ult. Make that about 70 right now. They should be getting this very quickly. You can see Lucky taking a lot of damage in this fight, giving a lot of ult charge, and they're likely to have it very shortly as well. Volt trying to get it up that 70% and counting. It might come down to who gets that ult first. Hammerpaw is extremely low. They're going to have to use the Ice Cold just to stay alive. As Deva has that ready to go. They're kind of just waiting for the engagement. It is going to get used, but he's going to get pulled in. Lucky Prince is going to die on the spot. Deva has to try to find the follow-up. Volt gets extremely low. They're trying to follow it. They do pop the Coalescence, but now it's 5v4, and Deva's not getting... Oh, no. Deva just barely misses the entrance, and now it's at 90%. They are going to be able to get the full 99, but it's very unlikely they're going to pull this out, as they're actually going to double down and use ults on both sides of the idea here. Volt eventually going to get two with that Dragon Blade and take over the points. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter, my two favorite things in Overwatch, Rush and a Dragon.
Oh, Volt.
It's a great fight. It's a good fight win for Mythos in the end, but they probably didn't need to use the Dragon Blade, and they could have saved it for this next fight. Or they do have ultimates. Both teams have ultimates. I mean, you're probably looking at this Blizzard being the ultimate to win this next fight, and maybe even using the Shatter to get the beat out. I mean, there's not really anything to stop the Shatter, though.
It's hard. You have to save that cleanse. It's the only way you can manage to fully stop it. E-Girl does manage a healthy beat as well, but it's actually Volt that is going to drop right now. The Shatter comes out. Leo is found with it. There is no cleanse that's going to bring you back from that. The cleanse manages to keep them alive temporarily, but the Spite has completely fallen apart on the back of that Shatter. Big slam, as some like to call it, as they are going to take this first point over here, as they have to make their way over to the second, and they will likely have the advantage getting there as well.
Yeah, great slam. Actually, in this kind of Genji rush style, actually, if you lose your Genji, it honestly, genuinely doesn't really matter. Like, your Genji kind of exists as this kind of blade bot who is just on a charge of his Dragon Blade. You can still win a fight 100% without your Genji, but obviously they get slammed. There's no chance after they're all lying on the floor, and it's a good first point for blink-180.
Yeah, but the beats are to go back and forth. Hammerpaw is going to manage to catch Volt over on the sideline. They just have to find another target to collapse onto. The freeze is going to come on, and it's Leo that's going to be caught in that freeze for a moment, eventually taken out. Blink-180 keeping this fight within their advantage, using a couple of ults to be able to do that, but so did Mythos, so it ends up working out really well for them, especially when this Death Blossom, there's no beat for it now.
Their rush is so clean, Hunter. I don't know why they weren't playing this before. They're so much quicker than they have been on any other comp. Okay, the one thing they've got to make sure is they don't let the fight go long enough for Volt to charge his Dragon Blade out, because that'll be the one thing that they really can't let happen. Both Death Blossoms online, so maybe a battle of the Death Blossoms.
Really? Yeah, it's an early Coalescence that they're going to try to send it full force. Fenrir throwing in the ult as well. E-Girl does not manage to get away from it, though, but they're going to send it back in. Leopard... That's found 2. They're looking for the 3rd. You see Fenrir trying to get out of that situation. Lucky Prince is way too deep to be able to stay alive. And now it's just Fenrir that's going to try to stall out this point for a few more percentages. Going to do a decent job of it. And they're going to clock it with about 72 or 73 in that bank. A respectable amount, but still, you go a little too far forward. You bite off a little bit more than you can chew.
Yeah, Vault has the Dragon Blade this fight, which is pretty much the ult you're looking to win a fight off, you know. I think the Dragon Blade in this rush comp, you're kind of, straight into the front line. You're just trying to chunk down whoever you can. And I think they need to win this fight with the Dragon Blade, otherwise they're looking in real trouble. They'll be 2-0 down.
Instead, the Shadow's going to come through. It finds a couple of members. The cleanse, though, going to keep them alive temporarily. Volt is not going to get hit by the pin. Lucky is going to be the first one to drop. They just need to collapse on these last couple of kills, and they are going to be successful in doing so. If you're blink-180, you need to try to die, get out of there. You need to be able to gauge on this next fight, but they're not really going to have any ults to engage in.
Yeah, the Dragon Blade was perfect. Pretty much all you have to do here is just chunk down the front line with the Dragon Blade. You don't have to take any risks. And he does that perfectly. He managed to kill off the Ryan, and blink-180. They've got to win this fight. They don't have any ultimates up. They are gonna maybe have their beat late and their blizzard late, but I'd be tempted honestly to just maybe save them for this next fight. They do need to touch.
They're not gonna touch. They're not gonna touch.
Oh no!
I don't know what the idea was there, trying to hold on for so long, and you could still potentially win this fight. But what does it matter now? Now that you have already given up that second point, now it's tied up 1-1. You're gonna win the fight. You're likely going to be able to engage on the next point first. But still, they let that slip through by not engaging just 2 seconds earlier.
Yeah, virtually gets a very nice kill on the enemy Moira, but he just doesn't touch. And I mean, I think Mythos have spawned closer than they would have been before, so they're going to get here not too far. They're going to get here a fairly equal time. And Volt interestingly switches to the Hanzo. I'm not too sure about that. I thought he was getting a lot of work done on Genji.
Exactly, Deva. Oh no, Volt's gonna be found by the orb right there. You are gonna see Leo try to go behind, try to make some magic happen. Ace is gonna be pinned into the corner of the blizzard, so they have no shot of survival as blink-180 going to get the first cap onto this point. They're gonna try to find the follow-up picks. It'd be really big if they manage to find Leo here, and they do.
Yeah, Ace compressed and frozen like he's stuck in ice. Not much you could have done there, stuck pinned straight into the blizzard. And blink-180 will get first control of this point, and that's huge. I mean, Volt, I think obviously you see him now on the Hanzo. He'll be looking change over to McCree. I think more of a traditional kind of rush character than he'd been playing before. And I think they're just going to look to maybe obliterate the enemy front line like you might expect on this kind of rush style.
Yeah, and we are going to see the Rampage come out. The beat is going to fall directly up on it, and Ace has to drop for how low they're getting right now. They are eventually going to have their own beat come through.
Massive.
It has to be massive. Leo's going to manage to find one. They're looking for the second. It's going to be sent directly backwards. They're looking to find the follow-up picks. Nothing is found, though. Hammerpaw managing to eventually come up on Pato. It is turning back around, though. The Shatter could be between life and death. They're going to look for the pin, not going to find it. I'm surprised they didn't try to use the Shatter while they had the opportunity to. And instead, they're going to lose this point with 99% and counting. They do manage to get it to that 99%, but that Shatter, that looked like an optimal time for it. I'm surprised Lucky held it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he would have slammed the enemy Jungle Queen and tried to just win that fight outright, but I guess they are holding on. They're maybe being sensible, not trying to clutch. They know they only need one more fight to win this up. And obviously, Mythos, they don't have a Dragon Blade because they switched off the Genji. And I mean, if they stayed on Genji, they would have had this Dragon Blade now for this fight. And I think that blink-180 will know that they're not really playing into any ultimates, and they know that if they get a huge slam off, it's pretty much a guaranteed win.
Yeah, exactly. You see here, they're going to do this long rotation up to that top right area instead. You see the Shatter ready to go. They're looking for it. Oh, they faked it! They faked the long over the Shatter, but they don't manage to find anybody for the moment. It's a brilliant play, but Hammerpaw's going to be the one to drop first. They're looking to try to get that cap just below, but it does manage to get stalled out. Deva does manage to find the cap for that moment, so now they just need to die on point. And just like that, they're going to be able to set up for a final fight as well with that flip.
Yeah, I mean, that's just unfortunate. They find the slam. It's a great fake wall, but they don't manage to find the follow-up kills. I mean, Lucky is taken down with the Fan the Hammer. Volk just found the hammer rolling. Prime Somin Su. And I mean, they need to get a touch here, Mythos. They've got to touch.
Leo, don't do it to him. Can't do it to him, Leo. They have that ready to go. There's nothing to be able to stop them. Hammer is coming up very close on that freeze. They're going to want to use it here, as eventually many members are going to be found. Leo finds the 2K, looking for the final kills coming up here. Leo has a 4K, final blows to their name, as they're going to take the 3rd point here and are just 1 away from taking away the series right now, as they've done an excellent job so far switching around their comp to work around how blink-180 is trying to play this.
Yeah, excellent to win that, but I mean, they get such big spawn advantage, I think, on this point, right? This is huge. They're in such a great position to take this first fight and be in a great spot to take this 4th flashpoint. I mean, blink-180, they have this Blizzard. They need to win this first fight with the Blizzard, you would have thought, because there's no beat active early. And they're going to use it early. They should know it doesn't going to find anyone. But they do find a lot of space, though, with it.
It is a lot of space, but now you have to be able to hold on to that space, and you're not going to be able to do that right there. But E-Girl is going to use the beat on top of it. They're throwing 3 ults. They want to win this fight no matter what, and they're going to use 4 different ults just to win this one fight, and it's good. It's successful. You've gone and won the fight. They're going to stall it out a little bit, but they are going to win the fight. But 4 ultimates needed? Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, Mythos have drained the tank completely. They've got 50% of a Death Blossom, but they've got nothing else left. And I mean, blink-180, they've got this, you know, they've got their Death Blossom, they've got the Coalescence, they've got the beat. And I think the slam could be huge. I think they should engage with the Coalescence early. Oh, no.
Oh, it's already over with. You can't push now.
Yeah, they've just got to back out. They've just got to back out. The Lucia's got to go taxi. The Hinder grenade is so good. You can't fade out of that.
It's such a smart decision by Volt to go over that, especially when they're really trying to stick onto this Reaper and Moira comp. It's just really easy to shut them down from taking these off angles and catching them out of position.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to have to look for a Death Blossom here. I think they should Coalescence early, and they do.
Early Coalescence, the wall going to split them up for the moment. They're going to try to double down as well. But these big ults eventually find somebody. E-Girl found there near the end of that fight. It is eventually going to be a fight win for blink-180. But it's going to be all the way up to that 95, 96 area. 97, as a matter of fact, so it's 1 fight territory. They lose 1. They're going to be out of this series, and they just have a beat and a shadow to work with for the next 90%.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, they do have the beat to counter, you know, any aggression they might see from Mythos. But also, I think a lot of this now is up to Lucky to hit a big slam. And he's hit big slams before, but maybe there hasn't been enough follow-up. But I think, you know, it is basically up to him to hit a big slam.
Exactly. You might want to save it for Leopard as well. They're going to have this ready to go. They're going to want to go deep with it. When they go into this fade and go in, you want to try to hold for it. As right now, they're holding position for the time being. The Coalescence is going to be thrown in right now. They might want to use this beat coming up shortly here, as Lucky Prince is still holding onto that Shatter. Mythos waiting to fully engage, though. Eventually the beat going to come out, but now it's 4-man. Lucky, you can't hold on to this. You have to use this. You have to try to win this fight. Why are you holding on to this for so long? And they're not even going to be able to get it out. Lucky just holds onto it. The freeze comes out. It is going to catch a couple members in the center area. You're going to find one. You have to try to give it to Ace if you want any hope of winning.
It's the best player that they find, though.
Yes, but it's Leo is putting the stamp of defeat right on the forehead of blink-180. It is back into the favor of Mythos shortly, and nobody else is going to be able to touch this in time. Mythos is going to come out the winner, not just of New Junk City, but the series 3-0.
Yeah, blink-180 showed some actually real prowess on the rush down, but I think Mythos were genuinely really good. Their Genji rush at the first couple of points was really good. They played around that Dragon Blade really well. And I think actually, I think Volt really stepped up on this last match and really carried a lot of these fights, maybe above Leopard, who was maybe the star DPS for the rest of the series. But I think that Volt managed to, you know, he said his Genji was so good and his McCree was also really good, or Cassidy was really good. So, yeah, I think that was you could say a comfortable win across 1.5 maps, and then it became quite a tough fought win in those last kind of 1.5 maps in that almost 4-minute hold, and then that was a pretty close New Junk City, even though they took the map 3-1. I think both teams actually show some real prowess on the rush. I think blink-180 especially seem to have so much improvement when they're playing that Ryan rush. They seem so much more organized. They seem so much more like they want to take the fights in the right positions, that their core communication is a lot better than it is on other comps.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a key thing we're talking about here is how different the DPS battle was. When we think of a lot like moments come through, like we think of the Death Blossom from early.
Yeah, I think and like the Death Blossom from like the early Death Blossom from Leo has actually won quite a lot of the fights where he's Death Blossoming before blink-180 can even be in position. And I think that a big thing that blink-180 maybe need to improve on is actually using the correct ults in the correct situation. Their most proactive ult usage has often been their beat, which is probably not the ult you actually really want to use that proactively. You probably want to save the ult when you need saving or you need to save. For example, they didn't ever really save it for the enemy Dragon Blade, which pretty much lost them 2 points where, Volt was just slashing them down in the front line. I think there is signs of life over blink-180. I think they played really well on this second map. They played really well on the second map. They, almost held that incredible 4-minute hold. And then they almost took a couple of points on this last map, maybe a couple of fights. Obviously, it was 99 on that point. It was 99 on the point before. If they'd have got a touch, it could have been closer. But, it was actually a fairly good series, even though it's a 3-0. Probably one of the better 3-0s you'll see. So, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed watching this series. And I'm sure, we'll see these teams again soon on the CGL broadcast. And thank you so much for watching the stream today. Hunter's back to say goodbye. He's gone again. Okay, thank you so much, guys.